This is the story of a man who was both dwarf as well as a giant over the course of his lifetime. Adam Rainer was born in Graz, Austria to average-sized parents in 1899. When World War I broke out, he enlisted in the army. Since he was just 4 feet 6 inches tall, doctors administered a series of tests. They ultimately classified him as a dwarf, and it was determined that he was too small and too weak to be an effective soldier. The only strange thing was that his hands and feet were exceptionally big for his small size. A year later, he grew another 2 inches, which was probably promising. In 1920, Rainer was still small, and records show he was also very thin. At 21 years old, the typical age a person stops growing, it was assumed that Rainer's stature was set for the rest of his life. But then something happened. Rainer didn't just grow another 2 inches. He started growing many more inches, and at an alarmingly accelerated rate without any sign of slowing down. 1 decade later, Adam Rainer had grown more than 2 feet. His height, 7 feet and 1 inch tall. Doctors were baffled. 2 doctors, Dr. Mandel and Dr. Windholz, started examining Rainer in 1930. They began to suspect that Rainer may have developed a specific kind of tumor that caused an extreme case of acromegaly, which is when the pituitary gland produces too much growth hormone. As seen in individuals like Andre the Giant, symptoms of acromegaly include enlarged hands and feet, which Rainer definitely had. In addition to that, his face had also elongated due to a protruding forehead and jaw. His lips had become thicker and teeth had become widely spaced. He also experienced issues with his spine, as it had increasingly curved sideways during his massive growth spurt. In 1931, they discovered that their hypothesis was correct. The operation to remove the tumor was very risky, with a small chance of success, considering the tumor had been growing for more than 10 years. Yet the doctors still managed to remove the tumor. Several months after the surgery, Rainer went back for a checkup with the doctors. They were glad to see that his height had remained the same. However, his spinal curvature was even worse. This indicated that although it was occurring at a much slower rate, he was in fact still growing. Adam Rainer's health problems only got worse. He began to lose his hearing and went blind in one eye. All the while, the curve in his spine had become so severe he had to stay in bed. Rainer eventually died when he was 51 years old. At 7 feet 8 inches tall, Adam Rainer was the only man in history classified as both a dwarf and a giant in the same lifetime.